Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. We have just arrived back at Jacksonport State Park in Arkansas. You guys may remember this location from the White River Monster episode, and we are here to do another episode of Creepy Camping. I found out after I did the last episode that there is another spooky location nearby. We are going to go check out an abandoned cemetery known as the Red Eye Cemetery. But for right now, I've got to get this campsite set up, so let me get that done, and then we'll talk some more about the spookiness of the Red Eye Cemetery. Let me tell you, this thing right here has very quickly become one of my favorite pieces of gear. This thing is so convenient. The ability to fill this thing up in the house, plug it into the wall, have it cold and ready to go by the time I start my trip, take it out to the car, plug in the 12 volt in the car, and then when I get to the campsite, I can either plug it into the 12 volt on one of my solar generators, or I can plug it into shore power. Either way, I've got a lightweight refrigerator full of cold stuff, so cheers. Thanks again to Iceco. They're not sponsoring this video, but thank you guys. I love this thing. Got a new piece of gear to go with the teardrop recently. I got one of these Kelty backroads shelters. It's kind of a lean-to shelter that goes with your camper or your car if you do car camping. So we're gonna put this thing together, set it up on the teardrop, and we'll have a little bit of a shade because right now we need it. This makes for a pretty nice little shelter to get out of the sun. Got a little screen window / door behind me. I can open that up and I can have 3 ways in and out. I can close these side walls if I need to and completely enclose this area. And that way, when I'm getting in and out of the camper in the morning, if I need to get out, stand up to get dressed, something like that. So it's nice to have just a little bit of extra shelter outside of the camper. Now, if I could just do something about these dang flies, it would be much more enjoyable here. Wow, these things are everywhere. This is going to test me this weekend, y'all. So the sun is finally starting to go down. We're getting some more shade. The temperatures are cooling, and I'm hoping that the fly issue is a daytime thing. I really do hope that once that sun goes down, the flies clear out, because they honestly are making me rethink this trip. But that being said, we're also going to start working on dinner, and tonight's dinner is a little bit special. Instead of doing an MRE, now I did bring an MRE for lunch tomorrow, so if you're hanging out for that, wait until that, and you'll see my homemade MRE that I brought for lunch. But for dinner tonight, we're going to do something kind of same but different. A couple of months back, I made a batch of homemade chili. At the time, I was experimenting with my new dehydrator, so I took some of the leftover chili and I dehydrated it. I put it in a vacuum sealed bag and tossed it in the freezer. Now, dehydrated meals can be left out, but not for a terribly long time. When you're making these things yourself, you really have to know what you're doing before you can count on just leaving them out and trusting them later. So just to make sure this is as safe as possible, I vacuum sealed it, threw it in the freezer, dug it out for this trip. I figured this trip was going to be perfect. Let's go test out and see how my dehydrated chili turns out when we reconstitute it. That's for dinner tonight. Let's go get started on this. So here's my chili. I think I accidentally pierced the bag because the vacuum seal is not holding up anymore, but that was done like yesterday, so it's not a problem. But you can see we got dehydrated chili in here. Let's get this thing in a pot. Let's add some water and get cooking. We've added just a little bit of water in there to get it started. We'll add more as needed. All right, we are boiling. So I'm going to turn off the fire. Stir this a little bit, and then we're just going to let it sit here and reconstitute. So let's see how long the flies are going to let me be before they start swarming. Because this smells really good, and to a fly, it probably smells like the food of the gods. My goodness, it is hot. It does smell really good. All right, so let's have confession time. Maybe not confession, maybe just addressing things. I get comments every once in a while from people who assume that all I eat day in and day out is the stuff that's in my MREs. I eat that stuff once a week to film the video. I don't live off of shelf-stable packaged food. I do a lot of fresh cooking. I do most of the cooking in my house, in fact. So I'm not bringing out things like Hormel completes meals and stuff for my family. So for those that keep commenting about how these meals are going to kill me, and if I eat like this all the time, that I can't possibly survive the apocalypse. I'm not trying to survive the apocalypse. I'm just making videos. I'm having fun doing this. You guys are a tremendous audience. I have so much fun shopping for these meals and presenting them. And part of what makes it fun is the fact that you guys seem to enjoy it so much. I would have never thought that this would have been the content that would have gotten me the greatest response, but that's the way it's worked out. So for those of you that are worried about my health and the things that I eat on a daily basis, I'm not eating MREs 3 meals a day, 7 days a week. I do, however, like to make things like homemade chili, and to be able to take my homemade chili and make it into something that is appropriate as a camp food or something like that, that's the way to go. And look, if I could do this, if I could package my food in a way that I could guarantee would be safe, I would absolutely be doing that. So now that I've got that off my chest, let's see how my homemade chili, truly homemade chili, is after it's been dehydrated and reconstituted. Look at that. That looks amazing. I think this is going to be a good dinner, y'all. I know that there are some issues with dehydrating and reconstituting beef. Some people call it gravel, but let's see how it works out. This is a chili that I made with ground beef and beans. So let's see how it reconstitutes. Ladies and gentlemen, this chili, and I say this, I'm not patting myself on the back for this. I'm not coloring this so that it sounds better than it actually is. This chili is every bit as good as it was the day I made it. It has rehydrated so well and so perfectly that I can't tell that I didn't just go over there and make a pot of homemade chili and then put it on the table. I'm gonna have to do this again because this was so good. And you guys have seen my videos that I do with my buddy Mr. Fish, my camping videos. Mr. Fish is one of the best guys on the planet, but he is also a champion chili maker, chili guy. Mr. Fish has been on a few winning chili cook-off teams, and he has formulas for his chili that just take it to the next level. One of these days, I want to get some of Mr. Fish's chili, and I want to dehydrate that and see how that turns out. Because if my chili is this good, his stuff, y'all couldn't handle it. It's so hot. For sure, I'm going to be doing this again. I'm going to see what other kind of things I can make and dehydrate and make into camp foods on some of these trips that I'm going on. And if you guys would like to see more of that, leave me a comment down below and tell me. And give me some ideas for what I should make and dehydrate. Now keep in mind, we're not talking about freeze drying. Freeze drying and dehydrating are two very different processes. But if you have suggestions for things that I might want to try with this, that sounds like something that'd be up your alley, drop me a comment, tell me all about it. And maybe for the next creepy camping outing, I might just do that. It's so good. This makes me happy. So I'm going to turn off the camera, finish this dinner. We'll talk later. Good morning, everybody. Had some good sleep last night in the teardrop. That thing is so surprisingly comfortable. I think there's something about the limited space inside to me that just makes it cozy. Slept in this morning, took advantage of the air conditioning in the camper, and just kind of caught up on some sleep I've been missing out on lately. And now I'm up, gonna make some coffee, and then probably go get a shower. There's blessed air conditioning inside the bathhouse, which is really nice, so I think I'm gonna go take a nice long shower. It's kind of pointless right now because I'm just gonna get out and get sweaty again, but I think it'll be nice to just kind of cool down for a little while, get clean, change clothes, and hit the day with a new approach. You can hear the birds singing this morning. I've heard some cicadas popping off. There was a couple of squirrels fighting in a tree nearby, so the sounds of nature are quite rich around here, including the dog in the camper next door that yaps every time a squirrel walks by. Check this out. These things are starting to show up here. I'm up now. It's time to start the day. So while we're enjoying this coffee, I think now is as good a time as any to talk about the objective for this trip, coming up here to see the Red Eye Cemetery. Now, the last time I came to this site, we were looking for the White River Monster. I was camping in this exact same campsite, and I liked its location so much that I made sure to book it specifically when I came back from this trip. But after that last trip, I started coming across more and more information about the Jacksonport area. There's some really cool stuff in this area. Between the White River and the White River Monster stories, the Jackson Funeral Home Museum, and this Red Eye Cemetery, there's so much cool and creepy stuff in this area that I couldn't not come back here. But what I came across with the Red Eye Cemetery is that there's an abandoned cemetery called the Robinson Cemetery that's only about 2 miles from this campground. And its history goes way back, and there are a lot of very influential people that are buried in that cemetery, which is unusual for an abandoned cemetery. Usually when a place has so many people of note buried there, somebody's taking care of it. But there's a riverboat captain known for piloting this river right here back in the day. There are a number of Confederate soldiers. There are a lot of people for the area's namesake that are buried there. A lot of the tombstones have been broken and the area is just overgrown. In fact, I'm really hoping when I go there later that I'm able to get close enough to see the cemetery, much less go into it, because if it's really overgrown and there's poison ivy and things like that, I'm not getting myself into that. But we will go check out the area. So keep your fingers crossed that we manage to get into the cemetery, because I want you guys to see this place. But the legends of it are that there is a grave marker there that glows green. Sounds like something straight out of a Scooby-Doo cartoon, so what's not going to get my interest about that? And that multiple people over time have reported seeing glowing red eyes in the cemetery, which is where it gets its namesake, the Red Eye Cemetery. But we're gonna go out there tonight and we're gonna see if we can find, I wanna find the riverboat captain's grave. I wanna find the glowing grave if we can find it. We're gonna hope we see some red eyes while we're there, because how cool would that be to actually capture that on film? Now, all that is predicated on a couple of things. It's looking like it could rain today, which may impact things. The bugs in this area are awful. The heat in this area is awful. This is one of the reasons why I don't really like camping during the summertime. I love camping in cold weather. I would much rather bundle up in an insulated sleeping bag than try to put up with this heat. But once again, I do this for you guys. I'm gonna go get a shower now, get cleaned up so I can get sweaty again, and we'll see you guys in a little while. There's a storm coming. And I need to start getting things put away and battened down, because it looks like it's going to hit pretty hard for about an hour or two. And before it gets here, I probably need to make lunch, especially if I want to film it. But I need to get that knocked out, because there's going to be a couple hours where I'm not going to be able to do much of anything. So let's do lunch. And no, I have not had a chance to go get a shower yet. I got distracted doing other things, and then suddenly started hearing thunder and realizing I'm gonna have to wait. Maybe I'll do that while the storm's going on. I'm telling y'all, the flies are bad around here. That is no exaggeration. All right, so now we have our MRE lunch for today. This is nothing overly special. I didn't go out and follow all of the usual rules because I was building this one specifically for this trip. My intent was to make lunch as easy as possible, minimal effort, without having to put a whole lot of thought into it. Now we're going to get to try something else that is on our list of repeat offenders, and hopefully maybe this version will be a little bit better. So our entree for today. Now I've had a hit or miss record with these people, but we're going to do another Hormel Completes. This time I'm going to do the beefy mac. What I've found is that the tomato-based versions of this are much better than the chicken gravy versions. So we're going to give this a shot. Hopefully it'll be good because this is lunch today. But I've got a pot of water boiling over here. I'm going to open this up and get it in there so it can get to cooking, because from the look of the sky, this storm could arrive any minute. For our side to go with that, I got a pack of my favorite snack time crackers. These are the ones that are available at Dollar Tree. They're available at Ollie's. I think they are also available at Family Dollar, maybe, but these go well with just about anything. For our walking around snack, when I was at Kroger picking up the groceries and things that I needed for this trip, I came across these. These are the Kroger brand peanut butter filled pretzels. These are always a good little treat, and hopefully there'll be plenty of these left over for the afternoon so I can sit around and munch on something while this storm is coming down. So for dessert, I came across these Star Wars themed Oreos. They come in a pack of 2. I put 2 in here just in case I need a little bit of extra sweet. There is a light side and a dark side, so I'm curious to see what that's all about. And finally is our beverage. I brought a couple of those water drop cubes that I got at Aldi. These are the grapefruit flavor. They're designed just to be thrown in a bottle of water and get you some extra electrolytes, and boy do I need electrolytes today. All right, so let's let lunch cook for a few minutes, then we'll come back, we'll eat a little bit, and then we'll probably have to start closing up the camper for a little while. So let's get on with that. I don't know if you can hear that sound or not, but that kind of spooked me for a second. That came up out of nowhere sounding like a tornado siren. Somebody needs to have a talk with that guy. Apparently I started doing this without pushing the record button. I'm still getting used to a new camera after I dropped my old one and busted my lens. We're trying out the chili mac from Hormel Completes. I like it. It's not bad at all. It reminds me a lot of Chef Boyardee pasta. Same aroma, same general flavor. So if you like that kind of stuff, this one's gonna be fine. These flies are killing me, guys. I would totally put this in my kit. I'd buy more of these, especially if you can find them for $1. There's a lot of places like Dollar Tree and places like that are starting to sell these every once in a while. If you can find this one for $1.25, I'd get it. And I know some of y'all really want to see me bust up these crackers and throw them in there, but that's just not how I do this. This right here is not one that I'm going to take these and put it in there. Now, if I had cheese crackers or something, yeah, I'd try that. But just these old butter crackers, I just dip them in the sauce. That sky is about to open up. So while we're waiting out the storm, let's try out these Star Wars Oreos and see what these are all about. We'll save the peanut butter pretzels for later, but I'm anxious to try these. All right, so it looks like I've got the Sith version dark side Oreos, red center. These are a little mushed, but that's okay. They're gonna taste the same. Tastes like evil. I don't know if it's the red food coloring messing with me, or if these actually have some kind of additional flavor in the center. They don't taste like regular Oreos. They taste just slightly different. So do I have any Star Wars fans out there? I grew up in the era of Star Wars. I saw the original like 10 times in the theater because that was the only way you could watch things back then. Always been a huge Star Wars nerd. Love all things Star Wars. So my question is for my Star Wars fans out there, did you relate more with the Rebellion or with the Empire? Would you wield a green or blue lightsaber or a red one? I'm officially showered and refreshed. The rain has finally stopped and the sun is coming out, so it's just a matter of time before I'm all sweaty and nasty again, but for the moment I'm going to enjoy being clean. During the rain, I took refuge under my little Kelty awning, and then the mosquitoes and the flies got to the point where I just was not going to be able to sit outside anymore. So I got into the camper, and fortunately for me, that thing was surprisingly comfortable. I was able to open up the windows because I have screens on both sides, and I turned on the vent fan at the top, and it produced a really nice breeze. I was able to lay back, relax, just about fell asleep a couple of times, and really found myself enjoying riding out the storm, sitting in the comfort of my camper. But before too much longer, I'm going to get dinner started, and then after dinner, we're going to take a ride to the Red Eye Cemetery. So stick around because things are going to get creepy. I hope. Otherwise, what's the use? So if I'm going to go to the cemetery tonight, I've got to get some equipment unloaded. I brought along my new Archon e-bike. You guys probably saw the video where I did a review on that. I've really been wanting to get that thing out and use it on some of these excursions, and this is a great opportunity to do just that, so that I don't have to unhook everything and drive out there. I'm going to ride the e-bike out to the cemetery, so I've got to get it out of the back of the car. And I had to pack a whole lot of stuff in there, so this is going to take some effort. Yeah, this is going to be some work. The trailer wasn't on there when I loaded the bike. All right, so it's time to get dinner ready, and we're gonna do something a little different tonight. It's starting to get a little bit later in the evening, and I need to be able to get this done and ready to go so we can go to the Red Eye Cemetery tonight. So the video that started to kick off this string of success with the homemade MREs was when I went and built one at Ollie's. And while I was there, I picked this up. This is an eco barbecue, no fossil fuels, made from bamboo, cardboard, and lava. And it says it's ready in 5 minutes and has over an hour of cook time. Paid $10 for this thing at Ollie's. I'm hoping it's good, but this should be an interesting thing to try. So we're gonna get it started. I've got some pre-made marinated pork chops that I picked up at Kroger for $5 when I was getting my groceries for this trip. So let's get this thing going and see what it's all about. This thing's cool, but it seems a little complicated. So much so that it comes with instructions. All right, it's lit. Let's see what it does. It is starting to look a little rainy, and there's things dripping from the sky right now. I'm starting to worry that the weather app was not accurate, and I'm fixing to have some trouble on my hands. Well, this is a little frustrating. This storm just came out of nowhere. I managed to get some things closed up and inside, but right there's my dinner. Sitting in the rain. So much for that plan. Well, guys, it looks like this episode of Creepy Camping is a bust. This rainstorm was not on my weather app until it hit, and now it's saying it's going to be around for the next 3 hours. My intention had been to go out right before sunset, get some video of the cemetery, and then spend some time after it got dark. But unfortunately, the rain is supposed to stick around until after sunset. As you can see, I pulled the e-bike in under the tent, got the little camp stove down here because I had to close up the galley so that it wouldn't get rained in. And I'm left trying to figure out what I'm going to eat for dinner tonight because my pork chops are sitting on the grill in the rain. Unfortunately, they had only been there for a few minutes when the rain started, and I'm not going to eat raw, soaking wet pork chops. I don't know that I can salvage this. Y'all may not even see this video. This one may go in file 13 as a, I tried. This is really disappointing, guys. I'm sorry. So I would come across as a bit of a hypocrite if I didn't have some kind of a backup plan when things don't work out. So while the pork chops are a bust, I brought along some SpaghettiOs. I picked these up while I was out grocery shopping the other day in the event that that Hormel Completes that I brought for lunch turned out to be dog food. So while some people may think SpaghettiOs are dog food, this is dinner tonight. At least I've got something to eat. Looks like we're gonna have to let it run for a minute and burn off some water. This thing got really wet because it was sitting just outside the tent until I managed to bring it in. So I'll let it cook off for just a minute before we try to do anything with it. I'm gonna cook these dad budget style so I don't have to do dishes later. It's already been a crappy enough night. I don't want to have to wash dishes too. So the rain's over, but unfortunately, as you can tell by the location of the sun behind me, it's a little too close to sundown for me to do what I had planned for tonight. It looks like the rain is out of here for good, but it's hard to say because that last little dose of rain wasn't forecast until it hit. It does kill my overall plan for this entire trip, which is frustrating and sad. I don't deal well with having my plans rearranged for me. I will promise you this. I'm going to come back here and I'm going to visit the Red Eye Cemetery if that's something you guys want. If this video does get posted on YouTube, please comment and let me know if that's something that you'd like to see me come back to. But I can guarantee you I will be coming back here when the weather is a lot cooler and there's a lot less bugs. These flies, oh Lord, they're all over me. There's nothing that'll stop them. I've tried everything and they just keep coming around. Makes it real hard to eat, makes it real hard to do just about anything. I do want to show you what that last storm brought. Take a look at this. This was all in the matter of an hour or so of rain. This thing right here, this little Kelty shelter has been a lifesaver for this trip. All right, so I got to get busy getting everything back together and set up for tonight so that I can crawl inside and go to sleep. I have a feeling it's going to be an early night tonight. Got a couple more movies on the iPad to watch once I go inside, so just got to get everything back in order. There's something about a good hard rain that really makes a sunset pop. I guess this kind of makes everything else worth it. All right, I think that's everything for tonight. It's time to crawl in Teardrop and watch a movie and then get some sleep. See y'all in the morning. Good morning, everybody. It is the final morning of our trip. I had to get up this morning and get everything loaded very quickly because I looked up and it was extremely cloudy, and according to the forecast, there's supposed to be some rain coming in any time now. I just finished getting everything battened down, fixing to lock up the doors on the camper and get on the road and end this little disaster of a trip. So while it may not have been creepy camping, at least it was camping. So I got to get out in the wild for a little bit. I got to sweat and get to know a whole lot of flies. But now I got to get on the road and get this thing back home, and hopefully I won't hit too much hard weather on the way. So that's it for this one, and until the next one, prepare for the world that you live in, not the one you wish existed. And we'll see you around.